Hello, in this video I want to share with you how to use the Video Joiner app that comes with Ready Go Videos. Now, I want to point out that Video Joiner is part of Video Tool Chest, and so if you have Video Tool Chest, then please don't install the free utility that came with the Ready Go Video templates because you have Video Joiner already. And if you haven't downloaded the latest, please do in your membership area, and you'll be able to have Video Joiner. Now, this application, what I've done here in this sample is gone ahead and added some in here to be able to demonstrate all the features that you need to you can utilize to bring your videos together. If you notice here, I've got a few clips already installed. Now, I did add in these two additional layers here because I wanted to show you that you can do that using these two buttons here, add video layer. Also, what I've done is I've stretched this out, but if normally it's kind of imported more like this, and I wanted to point out that you can use your trackpad like I am on my Mac to scroll up and down, or a wheel on your mouse in order to scroll up and down if you're seeing that. I'm going to actually start afresh here in just a second, but just wanted to kind of point out a few things while I have multiple clips already loaded. But we'll start from scratch so we can talk about a few key things also. Wanted to point out that when you have a clips imported, that's what these all are. These are clips that I've imported, and each one is called, we call them blocks. You'll see it says delete a block up here. And you can see that the name of the clip is on it, which can be helpful so you know whether or not you have that in your video. And you can see that the duration is also on there. And I wanted to point out our snap features. So I'm just kind of moving these or spacing them around so you can see that there's a video over here on the right and a video over here on the left. If I have this maybe kind of in the middle, that's obviously not ideal. I'm going to have a gap right there and a gap right there. That's not, we don't normally want that. So unless there's a video on another layer. But I'm going to go ahead and drag this. I'm clicking on the kind of left-hand area, somewhere after the middle on the left, if I want to snap to this block over here. And I'm going to get it close and then just release, and it's going to snap to there. I could do the opposite if I was trying to snap over here. So I could click on this, get it close, and then it'll snap into position. So that's a handy feature when you're trying to do stuff. If I have a video under here on this layer, and I'm just trying to, kind of like using this to crop it. By the way, if I have a video down here, in fact, let's go ahead and click on this, and I'll import a video. And let's go to my sales templates. Incidentally, it looks like I'm not on my desktop. I was going to say, incidentally, I'm going to show you a couple of best practices that I didn't follow. So I'm hoping that you can learn from my mistakes. So let's see, this one looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and import that. That's down on this layer. And if I play this, you can see that as I'm kind of coming here, it's cropped off by this one up here. And then this one appears. However, I can click on this and I can move it to the top. And now, even though it's arrayed, this is on top of this, this video is going to appear over the top of this. If I use this move to top, I can move it back down, and let's move it to the bottom, and then I see this one again. So I can kind of override the layering here with these buttons, as my point here. So just really wanted to kind of point out a few things like that, just see that you're familiar with what these do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start from a scratch, just so that we have a little bit closer to what you would probably see when you're very first starting. And why I'm doing this, I'm going to point out that this is something that you want to avoid. I'm about to close this drawer, and that essentially is going to clear things out. There is no save inside of Video Joiner, so you want to go ahead and get all your clips together, get your audio together, and just kind of do this last step of compositing everything all at once and export the video out. So yeah, that's one kind of thing that you just need to be aware of. So now I've started over, it's fresh, and so let's just import a video. I'm going to go ahead and just start with some of the ones that I have. And notice that I should have pointed that out. I'm going to just get another clip here. I'm going to the end so that it imports at this point instead of over here. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. And so notice that I was foolish and I didn't name this very well. I should have named it. I normally name it, with like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I know which clip is first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and so forth. I did not do that. I didn't think I was actually going to do these in any kind of given sequence, and so that's sort of why I didn't do that. But normally it's smart to do that. It saves you time. And of course, as you're working through your script, it just kind of makes sense to start at the beginning, export it out, and so forth. If you go asynchronously, then what I like to do is number my sentences, and then I know that if I can come back and see whatever I'm missing and so forth. But I'm going to import one more, and I already showed you the snap to feature, but I like to go ahead and just make sure it's snapped to the right spot. Now notice that these, and come back here, this is a 1280 by 720. You can change that here, but 1280 by 720 is plenty if I'm going to deliver this on the internet, for example. 1920 by 1080 is obviously kind of broadcast and television, that kind of thing. So I don't want that normally here. So you see it's 1280. I can come up here to the numeric sizing, just go ahead and do that. Now I have the ability to also size like this. Let's get over here so we see that. And that's not updating the yeah, because I had that other one selected. That's what it was. So let's come. So I'm going to go ahead and size this one 1280, and it's going to automatically size that. And I can move things around if I want to, but I can also numerically position them up here in the corner like that. And I probably messed up this one over here. So yeah. So let me click on that, and see, I still have that selected. So I got to be careful. So I'm going to do 1280 by 720 here. And that should automatically change, and then I'll type in 0 and 0. And I'm going to click back over here and move my mouse head because I moved it. And all right, there, I've cleaned up my mess. So you see that what I can do is numerically size and position. You can have, like I said, you can size these down, or you can numerically size them. Like, for example, let's get this at 0. And if I had 1280 by 720, if I cut that in half, that would be 640, right? And if I do 640 here, in theory, I could have another video here, another video here, and another video here. And I could accomplish that by adding additional layers. So that's an option there, just letting you know that you can do that sort of thing. But for now, just imagine that I'm using one clip after the other. And so let's get an audio clip in here. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. And I happen to know that in my downloads folder, I downloaded a template. A audio clip from, I think, Audio Jungle. And so now I have my audio, and I can start trying to match to my audio. So let's talk about the matching as kind of the final thing here. You see that there's the right here time change mode. These are kind of very useful features because typically when I'm trying to make this video clip is 15 seconds long. And let's just imagine that my text is actually 11 seconds. All right, my audio I'm trying to match. Now, a lot of times there's a couple of things that I'm kind of doing here. One is sometimes I don't want, there might be an out animation and I don't really want it. See, that had an out animation. So let's go to where the out animation is starting to fade out or whatever. Let me get a sense of where we're at. And just kind of going to where I think it's going to be. There we go. So it starts to fade out right there. I'm going to go back. And by the way, I can use my command or control key with the right arrow key to zoom in. And so now I'm able to kind of fine tune it a little bit better. And I'm just moving my playback head. Okay, so I'm trying to get to where it's not fading out. And I'm just going to arrow on that side. So at this point, I've got trim select. Let's go back and select trim. And now if I click on this and just kind of try to match it roughly with that, I could have noted the time actually on the timeline and I didn't. But I'm not going to really sweat it too much. But So there I've got it, you know, at that. So now it's 13.72 seconds. But again, let's say that I needed it to be 11 seconds long. So in this case, what I might do is shift to scale, because before what trim did is it just cut off that edge, that whatever, almost about 1.5 seconds or so, 1.33 seconds. It cut that off. Now I want to like scale it so that I keep the remaining content of the video. It's just going to squeeze it into 11 seconds. So I'm going to come, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my eye on over here and with the scale option on, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it to the left until it says 11 seconds. There we go. And so that's the sort of thing that you can do. I'm very commonly doing that when I'm trying to match my audio. And so sometimes I try to basically trim down to what I want to keep, and if I still need to make it less, then I go ahead and scale it down. Obviously, sometimes I just scale it down, especially if it's like the video is 15 seconds long, and I just need it to be like 14.2 seconds, you know, so I might just go ahead and scale it instead, not wanting to cut the out animation off in kind of half, which would look a little odd. So that's what these two features are for, and I think you'll find them very useful. The zooming in and zooming out, again, I'm using this. Now you have these options over here to do that also. I'm using the keyboard shortcut, again, Command on the Macintosh, Control on the PC, left arrow to zoom out, right arrow to zoom in, and then you can use this to kind of position. And this over here is going to, again, it's going to give you a sense of the total duration. It's not going to be the readout of where you're, this right here is the readout of where you are on the overall timeline. So that gives you that information. So you have the option to turn off the snap to blocks, by the way, here. And lastly, this on video complete is basically a freeze frame option. So I showed you earlier in the video where you can move to top and everything. So sometimes you might want to freeze the frame here. So I might come to the end and I might say, okay, I'm going to turn this, with this selected, I'm going to turn this off and it's going to show. Let's go ahead and come back here. So now it's showing that last frame ongoing. And so if I wanted to import a new video, I'd need to import it. Let's go ahead and add one about here. Okay, and let's do, where's my desktop? And my sales videos. And let's get, say, the shaking hands one. And it's going to import on top of the previous video. So it's going to kind of crop it off, right? But if it doesn't, or if you're moving things around and get confused, you want to go ahead and choose move to top for this video or any other subsequent videos if this ends up showing up here because of that freeze frame. So that's how you can implement a freeze frame though. That's but as you can see, we normally import the new videos on top of that. And again, this is really just designed to serve as a freeze frame if you need to extend out something after a certain point in your video. Again, that's going to be static versus animated, but it just, again, it serves that last frame is going to be kind of hold on until you import something new and essentially overlay it. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Oh, maybe we do need to talk about exporting. So I do want to quickly point out that you do have stage sizing, the ability to change the stage color. There's an automatic fade out at the end if you prefer, if you'd like to have that on for the audio. So, and then finally you have the export option. You do want to make sure that the extension is there. So if you change the name, if I do something like this, that could cause an error, particularly on a Windows PC. So I want to make sure I have that .mp4. And to just export to a folder that you know that you can find easily, and you should be good to go. So thanks a lot for checking out this video and for grabbing Ready Go video templates.